Hey y'all, what's up? I'm back. So today's video is going to be another talking video, and obviously it's called Let's Talk. This is going to be a new thing I do, uh, maybe like once a week. I'll pick a topic that I want to talk about and kind of dive into it, and then I'll keep my outdoor stuff coming weekly. Probably you'll see that at the beginning of the week because I do stuff over the weekend and I need a little bit of time to edit it. But as seasons change and now that my ankles are getting back to uh, up to speed, I'll be doing a little bit more kayaking and hopefully I can get out to the mountains and do some hiking. So that's the plan. Yeah, so today I want to dive into a topic about, I talk about doing things independently and living independently and so on and so forth. But if I'm going to talk about that and be, you know, uh, prideful of living alone or doing things alone, I also need to talk about the seriousness of the dangers of doing things. Something I had, okay, so I had already recorded a whole video about this that I was going to do and share with you about some incidences. Most of them were they were all kind of scary incidences. Most of them had to do with outdoor, like animals. It's scary encounters with animals. About that. But I made that video and I started editing it, and I had paused on editing it, and then went to sleep and woke up at about 5:30 in the morning to a message from a friend that mentioned another incident that had happened. So basically, there was an incident that happened in my hometown. I guess at the end of last week, a road rage incident where the guy pulled the woman out of the car and about beat her to death, and then he went after her kids, and that was very, very scary. I had shared that on social media, and then within a 15-hour time span, if another friend reaches out, I had shared that with the caption of, it's so important to stay aware and keep yourself armed every single place you go, if you can. Of course, there's places you can't go armed, but you need to have some form of protection on you at all times. Some form. I don't care what it is, what you got to do. If it's got to be pepper spray, I don't care what it is, but you need to have some form of protection on you at all times. This incident, this woman was pulled out of her car, she beat almost to death, and then going after her kids. And then the second incident that my friend told me about happened this last weekend, and this girl was leaving a nightclub by herself and walking to her car and almost got raped. She's recovering right now from the physical damage that it did to her body by trying to fend off the person. I guess he drove up to her car as she was, walking to it. Drove up next to her as she was walking to her car. And when I got that message, I knew that I had to completely redo this video, because I was like, okay, no, I don't want to talk about necessarily animal encounters. When you're by yourself, if you're alone in the world, we need to talk about personal safety. So I'm not going to get into all the different kinds of weapons. I don't think that that's necessarily my area of expertise. But I will say that I do not go anywhere without some form of weapon. And sometimes I have multiple forms. When I'm driving, I obviously have multiple forms. When I'm on solo, I have multiple forms. When I'm out and about in nature, I have multiple forms of weapons. They're not necessarily a gun, but because you can't have guns in all areas, but I have a weapon for sure of some kind. I am not going anywhere where I cannot protect myself. So that's just the reality of that. I am a proponent for that. I think that you should always be extremely vigilant of your surroundings. So the scariest incident that I had happen to me happened last year, about this time last year. Almost, it was a year and like 2 weeks ago is when it happened, which is wild that I remember that. But I was headed to Kentucky, which, if I'm going to talk about Kentucky and Eastern Kentucky, everybody needs to know right now that there's a crisis going on in Eastern Kentucky. If you can, you need to reach out and see if there's any way you can help, donate. They've had a horrible flood. It's just absolutely awful. There's been a lot of loss of life, and it's not that they're not used to floods. It's just the loss of life is very, very terrible. So that's happening right now. And I'm from my family history stems back from there. So I am very, hold that place very near and dear to my heart. Jackson, Kentucky, Breathitt County. So please say a prayer for those folks. And if you can help in some way, if you're in that area, please do help. But what happened was I was driving out to a family reunion in Kentucky, and I had decided that instead of taking I-40 from Arkansas into Tennessee, that I was going to go up the border because I-40 was closed. So I started taking state highways, and I ended up going up the border of Arkansas, a little bit over into the tip of Missouri, and then into Tennessee. And I was going to just cut through the corner of Tennessee and then be up into Kentucky and follow that highway all the way to where I needed to go. So I get into Tennessee, and it's probably it's about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I'd say 5 or 6 o'clock. And I don't remember what day of the week this was on, but I know that we were in a section of 4-lane highways. So there was a median in the middle, 2 lanes both directions, and every mile there was a stoplight. So there was traffic on these highways, but we weren't necessarily in a town. Don't know where we were really, except that I was in the corner of Tennessee. And I see in the driver's side mirror next to me that there's this truck pulling up. It's loud. He's got his loud muffler. I didn't pay any attention to it. I had my car, my kayak, my dog, and my kids in the car. And so my whole world is in my car, you know? And I am, of course, in a vehicle with an out-of-state tag. So this guy comes up to me, and as soon as, he pulls up right next to me, and as soon as the light turns green, he rolls his window down. And I guess it was about a 30-second time span from the time he pulled up to the time that the light turned green. And he rolls his window down, and then he starts revving his engine and staying right neck and neck with me, as to not, I guess, he was trying to get my attention. And I just was like, oh my gosh, don't even look over. Pretend like your radio's up too high or something, you don't even see him. And he did this for a good mile with his window down, speeding up, slowing down. I don't know if he was on drugs. I don't know if he was drunk. I don't know what the deal was, but I never, ever looked over at him. I was panicked. I know I should have called the police, but I honestly didn't know where I was enough to tell them. And I just was like, you've got to keep driving. And I had to, I felt like I needed to stay within this group of cars, because at least if there were other people around, hopefully there was good people within those people, so I just stayed with those people. And okay, so then we come up to the next mile at the red light, and he decides he's done, and flips a U-turn and goes back the other direction. Again, these are mile sections. I'm just like, oh my goodness, thank God, because I just was freaking out. I didn't know what to do. I didn't tell my kids about it. They had no clue. I just kept looking straight forward and was just like, oh my goodness, thanking God at this point that this guy had just decided to leave me alone. So I'm driving along. I get probably 2 more miles through the same area. Again, it's a stoplight every mile. And I, of course, look in my mirrors usually periodically as I'm driving, and I notice that red truck is in my rearview mirror, and I see him coming up behind me quickly, very quickly. And he gets back over in the lane next to me, rolls his window down, is revving his engine, and is doing it again. And at this point, I'm just like, oh my God, what am I going to do? You know, and my kids are still clueless. Thank goodness for their tablets. They were on their tablets. One of them might even have been asleep. They were completely distracted. And I just was like, what am I going to do? I carry a couple of weapons on me. And at that point, I started pulling them out because I didn't know what this guy was going to do. And millions of thoughts are flooding through my head. And I'm just like freaking out because at this point, this guy is being super, super aggressive. What could he possibly have to talk to me about? My tires are fine. I have an internal gauge on my car. My kayak is fine. It is tied down in multiple ways. So if one strap came undone, other straps are holding it on. There's nothing that this person had to talk to me about. Like, I don't even want to say hi to you. We don't have anything to talk about. I am going somewhere and I don't know you, and you know, all that good stuff. There wasn't even I never even cut this guy off. Like, there was no road rage, anything. It was just straight creepy. So he ended up, again, once, I guess I just straight up ignored it. That's the philosophy I held onto. Hopefully, like, maybe if you ignore it, it'll go away. And it worked in this case. That's not to say that it always will or does, but it did work in this case. And so I was pretty grateful for that. Up at the next mile, he flipped another U-turn. And at that point, I was like, okay, looking at my GPS, and I got off of that road and took other roads to connect up to where I needed to be so I could lose the dude. So he couldn't, if he did come back, he wouldn't find me. That was one of the scariest moments. I mean, I've had other scary moments. I've had some incidents. So I don't go anywhere without a weapon of some kind. We live in a different time, or maybe we don't. Maybe it's always been this way. I'm not sure. I only live now, but it doesn't matter if you're a male or if you're a female. You need to be protected. You need to stay aware of your surroundings at all times. At the times that you least expect it is, you know, when you're most vulnerable. That's just the reality of that situation. And I hate to say that, but it's very true. And I mean, driving down the road, who would have thought that this woman would have gotten pulled out of her car and almost lost her life because some guy, I mean, this happened just miles from my house. And then, you know, just all of these things. I know that there's many of you out there that probably have way scarier incidences, more serious. I didn't want to go too far into it, but my point is that we all need to stay aware, and you need to carry some form of protection on you at all times. I don't care what it is. Do not be so naive to think that it's not going to happen to you. Do not be so naive to think that you're not going to accidentally cross paths with a nightmarish scenario. If you do, you want to be prepared in some way. And that's just the way I look at it. And because these things had happened back to back, and I am a proponent for doing things by yourself, I need to make it very clear that you also need to keep yourself protected. I have told my children for years that monsters do exist, but they are people. They are not big furry things that, you know, look like aliens or cartoons or whatever. Like, monsters are people. And that's just the reality. So I wanted to share this because I felt like, you know, like I said, I talk about being alone and being independent, and I glorify doing things on my own, but don't be fooled to think that I am not extremely aware of my surroundings or acutely aware of other people in the area. I prefer to be out in nature by myself. It is the people I do not trust. Animals, I've had scary encounters with animals, been just fine. It's the people that I have always had the trust thing with, you know, like, I know what to expect from an animal, a wild animal. I don't know what to expect from people. So, I mean, that's just my philosophy, and I felt like we needed to talk about it today. So, yeah, keep yourself safe. Please don't go anywhere without some sort of protection. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're going to the club, if you are going out and doing whatever, don't walk to your car alone. Even if you go alone, have a group walk you out, please, please, please. A former bartender, we always had one of the bouncers or somebody walk me to my car. Again, very independent, but still, I never went alone because I am not naive. I know that these things happen. So yes, go and do and live independently, but also protect yourself and don't let fear stop you at all. But don't be naive. And you've got to, there's a fine line balance there. You've got to ride that line, and you've got to stay aware and stay safe. Anyway, like I said, I'm gonna try to do one of these talks a week. Maybe you'll get two. It depends on how talkative I'm feeling, what the subject is, and then maybe something funny every couple of weeks or creative, and then always a outdoor video from over the weekend. So that's kind of what you can expect from me. I'm not really going to set myself a schedule, just because momming comes first, and creativity doesn't just, so much mad respect to all those people who put out content every single day. I'm going to try real hard to put a lot of it out there, but the creativity it's a challenge. So I highly, highly, highly commend all of y'all who are out there putting content out regularly. Kudos to you. I'm going to try my hardest. I'm new here. And still trying to figure out where I'm going with this. You guys seem to like my talking videos, which kind of surprises me. But that makes me feel like I need to do some of my own internal reflection about why that surprises me. And then I also will keep some of the funny ones coming, because we all need some, like, you should never take yourself too seriously. And hopefully they can just get better. My comedy is not going to appeal to everyone, and that's totally fine. Fishing videos will go away or slow down as the time changes. I have not spent much time in my kayak at all, and I miss her. So I will be getting back in her and spending quite a bit of time in the boat. I'll take you guys along with me on that. And then again, like I said, in the mountains. So that's kind of what you can look forward to from me. I'll be thinking on topics to talk about the next couple of weeks. Just trying to keep it real. The topics will be stuff that I'm thinking about, and that are just kind of on my mind, or maybe something that I've been talking to friends about and share it with you guys. So I'll try to keep that as, I don't know, transparent as possible. Like, if it's on my mind, I'm just going to try to share it, So anyway, I appreciate you guys being here. Thanks for taking your time out of your day to spend it with me, this little bit of it. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll catch you on the next one. Toodles, y'all.